Hey guys, and welcome to my virtual study room. I've been trying to think about what to do next with you guys this week, and as I was going through lessons, I had a number of students ask about their History Level 9 exam for the RCM. Now, the RCM history exams can be a challenge for some because it is packed with dates and titles and a ton of information. And for a university student who's used to kind of working through exams like this and memorizing this much information, it can be easy. But a lot of our students are in high school or some are even younger. And so these kinds of exams are still fairly new to them. And it's very overwhelming to kind of be given this much information to process. So where do you start? How do you retain all of this information? Well, since the course is called History 9 and Overview, I like to start there with an overview. I have a simple worksheet that I give students that's essentially an outline of the entire book with the big overall bits of information. I start with the 4 eras in the far left column. Underneath their titles, you can see a little line there, and this is where we're going to write the start and end dates of each. Now remember, with the eras, the dates are not necessarily lines in the sand, meaning that it's 1750, lights are out on Baroque, and we're never going to write counterpoint ever again. There are composers and techniques and forms that you're going to see still happening in the following era, but we have to pick a point in time. There's often an event associated with it that just helps us transition into the next period, and it helps us kind of group together what's happening in the world and what's happening in the musical world as well. So the easiest way to memorize the dates of the 4 eras is by remembering one date, the date that Bach died. He was kind of a big deal in the Baroque era, so it's really easy to think about Baroque's end date as being connected to the death of Bach. Again, 1750. So remember that. Now, if you can also remember that the first era is twice as long as the other ones, you're now good to go. So if the Baroque era is 150 years and Bach died in 1750, that means the Baroque era expands from 1600 to 1750. And if every era afterwards is half as long, that means our classical era is going to start in 1750 and go till 1825. Romantic era is going to be from 1825 to 1900, and our modern era is going to be 1900 to present day. Now, I know the modern era is more than 75 years, but because there's not a specific end date, it makes it a lot easier to memorize. So remember 1750, and that Baroque is 150 years, and each one after is half. There, your era dates are now memorized. In the next column, we're going to write the names of the composers. Now, there's just enough spaces for each one. I know that there's more composers talked about and very important composers in each era that aren't necessarily discussed in depth here, but we're only dealing with the major composers discussed in this book. I like to keep them in order because I'm a visual learner, so I can kind of see the progression of the book in my head, and it's also going to help me keep the dates in order. Most of the ones in the books are chronological based on their birth date. You're going to notice a couple of them that are slightly out of order just based on birth date. I think Berlioz is one, and Louis and John Adams are kind of just a little bit reversed there too. But all of the others are chronological based on their birth date. So in the next column, this is where you're going to write that birth and death date of each composer. And another way to help memorize this is to compare them to each other. So for example, Handel and Bach were both born in the same year, but Handel lived just 9 years longer. So again, Bach dies in 1750, Handel dies in 1759. You'll also want to remember that these dates fall roughly within the era that they're connected to, with a little bit of crossover. So if the question on the exam is asking, was Handel born in 1898? No, the dates are too far off because Handel's associated with the Baroque era that ended in 1750. In the 4th column, this is where we're going to write the title of the major work that you learned about that's associated with this composer. I know that they talk about more pieces, but there's usually one in the book that they kind of zero in on. So for example, Vivaldi was Spring from the Four Seasons. That title you're going to write here. And then in the following column, I want you to write the genre of this work and the key features. Now the genre is going to be found in that introduction part of the piece in your book, And the key features are found either in that gray box at the start of each unit, or you can also find them in the theory syllabus that's online for free, and it's titled Associated Terms. So for Vivaldi, this is a concerto, and one of the most important things to know about this piece, one of the things that makes it unique compared to the other two Baroque pieces, is that it's idiomatic and programmatic writing for the violin. Now in my example, you're going to see that I don't write all of the terms associated with the piece. I kind of zero in on the main ones. If you wanted to write all of the terms, you could. I just find that I want to zero in on what's important and what's kind of the main features. Start by memorizing that, and then I can dig deeper into the piece once I've got that kind of foundation. So once this form is filled out completely, this is where you can now start to memorize. Don't get lost and overwhelmed with all of the little details and additional dates just yet. Just start here. Once this is in your brain confidently, then we can break out into more details about what's included in the score, what happened in the composer's life, who were they associated, where in the world were they active, things like that. And I do have more worksheets that I can help you through that material as well, but don't get overwhelmed with it quite yet. If you're interested in downloading a PDF of this, just follow the link in the description box below. It's available on our website for free. And as a thank you, if you could just give us a quick subscribe or subscribe to our email, we'd really appreciate it. And if you'd like more personalized and in-depth help, think about joining one of our history classes. We offer these online from the comfort of your own home, and our teachers are really excited and love digging deeper into the material. They have a lot of funny stories about the composers' lives, about what's happening in that time period. We incorporate videos and images and audio, so you're just able to connect to the material in a different way than just reading it off the page and memorizing it. Well, thanks for stopping by, guys. I hope this helped a little bit, and I wish you guys all the best as you begin preparing for your exams.